What's going on, High Society? Welcome back to another 5S tier list video. It's your commish, head coach, Boston Braviaries, Ryan, and today we're breaking down the Gigantamax Pokemon. Newsflash, you've been under a rock for over a year. New Pokemon games came out called Sword and Shield, and their new thing isn't Mega Evolutions, it isn't Z Crystals, it's the red-headed step baby of the two, Gigantamax. Make the Pokemon big. Anyway, so a bunch of Pokemon came out with Gigantamax forms at the start of the game. Then Snorlax was added through free DLC, and then Toxicity was added through free DLC. Then in Isle of Armor, we got all the starters plus the two Urshifu forms. And the latest one we've gotten is GMAX Melmetal, which you can get if you're Pokemon Go player level 40 and you transfer Pokemon from Go to Home. So, with that said, we're going to break it down based on what type of trainer you are for your Gigantamax. So, are you a master trainer based on your Gigantamax? Are you a champion? Are you an elite trainer, gym leader, or a lowly bug catcher? So we'll just go in order here. Pretty straightforward. Venusaur. I really like Venusaur's Gigantamax. All the Pokemon that's set up like the 4 turns of hazards damage is pretty good. Right now grass types are doing pretty well in the meta, so Venusaur itself isn't gonna hit everything with its lashing vines, and you do need support. Like, you need to run this in the sun. Like, you never see Venusaur not on a sun team. So with that said, I'm going to give it the elite trainer. I do think it's good. It's just, again, you need the support for it. Next, we have GMAX Charizard. From the get-go, one of the best GMAXs around. Airstream is the best Dynamax move. Again, Wildfire sets up the flames that deal all non-fire types damage. So I think that Charizard is definitely champion level. Early in Sword and Shield, it won some competitive events. Charizard's very good. It even gets access to like Max Overgrowth and Max Dragon, and just a lot of max moves for coverage as well. Next we got Blastoise. So Blastoise hasn't been doing so well as far as like competitive. We've seen it do very well in 5S this season under the Minnesota Nidokings, but in general, the need to like get off a Shell Smash for it to do anything makes it kind of weaker than the other 2 starters. With that said, I'm gonna give it Gym Leader status. Next we got Butterfree. Butterfree's cool, it's spreading status. Unfortunately, it's random status, which makes it harder for you to control. And if you're Gigantamaxing Butterfree, then you're not Gigantamaxing something else. So with that said, probably fitting, but you're a bug catcher. Next is Pikachu. You would think Pikachu would be bug catcher, but it's actually a little better because knowing that it's always going to be paralysis is pretty good information. So, and Lightning Rod is doing pretty well right now, so you could actually bring like GMAX Pikachu on a team with like a Light Ball or something and find some success with it for sure. Paralysis is a very powerful status effect, so being able to spread that onto all your opponents is just great. So if this was on like a GMAX Raichu, it'd probably be up higher, but obviously you're playing with Pikachu stats. Next is Meowth. Again, you would probably think Meowth is bug catcher or maybe gym leader. In battle, all its attack does is confuse the opponent, but we don't just use this for battling. We use this for making money. You give him an amulet coin and you go run the tournament, you're making lots of dough, and that lets you train up the rest of your team. So for me, Meowth is master. I probably, on in-game teams, I probably used him more than any other GMAX just because I want the money. Alright, next we got GMAX Machamp. Getting the focus energy, get pumped buff, increasing your crit rates. Unfortunately, Machamp is pretty bad as a GMAX because its GMAX move is pretty weak, like as a base power level, and then you're still not getting like perfect crit chance after that. Your allies might if you're playing doubles and running like Super Luck or something, but again, then you're Gigantamaxing Machamp and not something else. Alright, next we got Gengar. Gengar, GMAX Terror, Traps, things. Gengar is not very bulky, so it doesn't see a lot of play as a Gigantamax because you're not going to survive that many hits with it. Trapping is very powerful effect though. You see it on like a bunch of different moves and a couple Pokemon like Shadow Tag and Arena Trap. Again though, it's just so easy to revenge kill the GMAX there. Next we got Kingler. I really like Kingler's attack. It's a GMAX Foam Burst or something like that. But anyway, it harshly lowers your opponent's speed, which is great speed control. The problem is it's on a Kingler. Like, say Blastoise had this, that might actually be good. That might actually be powerful if Blastoise had it. I love the GMAX move. I love the design of Kingler. But again, it's on a Kingler, so can't do too much with it. Next, we got GMAX Lapras. Lapras, another one of these Pokemon that early on saw a lot of play, getting up the Aurora Veil. Usually you run, so you're getting up the Aurora Veil, so you think you'd want to run Light Clay to get max turns on the screens, but Lapras is pretty weak overall, like attack-wise, so you usually end up having to run Weakness Policy to try and do some damage with it, which does hinder it. But it has a lot of utilities. Obviously makes your team very bulky. It still lacks that, you know, I'm G-maxing this instead of something else, and when you get your G-max, you want to be doing a lot of damage. But it's a pretty good support G-max, and with Weakness Policy, it can do a lot. Alright, Eevee is Bug Catcher. He's not like the other two Kanto first forms that we get. So Eevee creates infatuation. So for one, you need your opponent's Pokemon to be the opposite gender of you, and for two, it's Eevee. Okay, Snorlax had a lot of hype when it was first revealed. You know, Gluttony, Berry, keep replenishing, like healing up and everything. But it hasn't really gone off that way. It can, like, you can, like, if you're playing doubles, you can redirect into a Belly Drum and then go from there, proccing a Berry. Same thing in singles. So, I'll put this at the Elite Trainer. I think Snorlax does have good potential, and it can definitely do some things. It can be a scary offensive threat if it can stick around a little bit. Garbodor poisons things, but it has the same kind of weakness as Machamp, in that its base power is pretty weak. So, and pure poison isn't necessarily like a good typing. So Garbodor is Bug Catcher. Alright, GMAX Melmetal. He just came out, and obviously you can't really use him in competitive, but his max Meltdown torments you, so you can't use the same move twice in a row. I don't know what the odds are on getting tormented. Like, is it 50% or is it 100%? I don't know. Melmetal is a very scary Pokemon, so I think to play it safe, I want to say Champion. Like, I think it can be very powerful, because if you torment your opponent, like, let's say they go for, like, a move that would be super effective on Melmetal, and maybe they're trying to get, like, a 2-hit KO or something, and you torment them, and now they can't get that 2-hit KO on you. Like, that's huge. Because you know Melmetal will be a solid vest, very bulky boy. Alright, next we got GMAX Rillaboom. For those who have watched the Driftvale City Dragapults, you've seen the power of GMAX Rillaboom. Also check out our All-Star game on the last podcast, episode 26, and you can see how much work Rillaboom does. Very strong Pokemon. I think this is another champion level. It's better than base Rillaboom as far as Dynamaxing goes, because you don't need to reset the grassy terrain. Cinderace, I think, is also the same thing. Actually, it might be better than these guys. Like, Cinderace saw a lot of play, regular Dynamax and GMAX form, and I think the GMAX form has more oomph than the Dynamax form. So I could see it being master. Like, Libero is just so strong, getting stab on all of your attacks, as far as like GMAXs go. And then Inteleon is the sad boy. He doesn't see a lot of play competitively. It's nice that you ignore Storm Drain and Water Absorb, but how much does that matter in the end? I think Inteleon's going to have to go down to Gym Leader. I really like Corviknight. Wind Rage being able to get a free defog while doing damage. But again, you're not going to do a lot of damage with Corviknight overall. And you really need that aspect from your Gigantamaxes. As you can see, like, the G-Maxes that are good are going to hit hard and they're going to stay around, like, for all 3 of their turns. Orbeetle, great design, sets gravity, bug catcher, not that great. Yeah, Orbeetle's more of a support Pokemon, setting screens, doing ally switch stuff. You don't want to be Gigantamax. Although you could check out our theme video where we did a space theme and Orbeetle was the leader of that space team. Dreadnought. In the rain, Dreadnought can be pretty scary. Better in singles, I think, than doubles because it can set up the rocks. So if you can get like an early rain setter into Dreadnought, kill a thing or two, and leave rocks behind, is pretty powerful. It's kind of like Venusaur in that it needs support, but it's worse than Venusaur. So I think that makes it Gym Leader here. Okay, Colossal. Colossal's great. There's so much you can do with this Pokemon that I don't think everybody's explored everything you can do with him. Steam Engine is such a busted ability. We saw it early on, like Surf Weavile, Surf Sneasel, Aqua Jet on Pokemon that didn't have like high physical attack to proc the Steam Engine. Now we're seeing Choice Scarf, Blacephalon doing Mind Blown. So doing big damage to everything except for Colossal, which quad resists fire and gets the Steam Engine off. So seeing a lot with Colossal. It gets that residual like Charizard, Venusaur, Blastoise, you know, Vocalith damage against all the rock types, which there aren't a lot of rock types, so you're gonna get that damage off consistently. Alright, we got the apples. Flapple and Appleton. They're just not good. Bug catcher, like, I don't think anyone's ever brought these to any competitive game. Next up, we got Sandaconda. Sandaconda sets a Sand Tomb, so it does trapping while damaging. And Sandaconda can be pretty bulky. Pure ground type, which is nice. I kind of like Sandaconda. I think you could do a lot with it. I don't think it gets a lot of coverage moves, which hurts it. Yeah, that probably hurts it. Because after you trap something, what do you do with it? You see we got like a cutoff here. Like, you gotta be better than Venusaur to get up here. Okay, Toxicity is a weird Pokemon. So, ground types are going to destroy this thing. Stun Shock spreads paralysis and poison, which is pretty good. This has just not seen a lot of play. It's at awkward speed tier. It's not very fast. And again, it suffers from Butterfree in that you don't know which Pokemon, like if you're playing doubles, you don't know which Pokemon's going to get paralyzed, which one's going to get poisoned, and in singles, you don't know which one they're going to get. I mean, obviously, you would want paralysis every time, but yeah, I think that keeps it in Gym Leader here. Scorch, same thing as the Sandaconda, creates a Fire Spin, but Rock Slide is pretty prevalent in competitive doubles, and in singles you got Rock, so that means you want to do Boots on this. Really hinders it. Scorch is a fine Pokemon. Like, it's pretty bulky despite its typing, so as long as you can get Boots on it or keep the field clear of rocks, it's pretty good. But yeah, Hatterene's pretty good. I'll put it in Elite Trainer. It was really trending up before Crown Tundra came out. Now it's kind of like falling back down again with all the powerful threats that we have, but you still see it pop up now and then. Season 2 Championship Hatterene would be in Master Class, but you know, not everybody can have Season 2 Championship Hatterene. Okay, Grimmsnarl is Bug Catcher. You might be surprised seeing Grimmsnarl and Bug Catcher, especially since your boy is using him in the current season and he's undefeated. But yeah, GMAX Grimmsnarl is just a bad Pokemon. Its GMAX Snooze ability looks broken on paper, and then you realize it's only a 50% chance to sleep something. You're like, okay, well in doubles I'll sleep one thing on average. Well, no, and yes. No, because I've had it not do that, and yes, because you don't get to choose which thing gets drowsy, so it's a lot worse. It's like a worse Butterfree. You're worse than Butterfree, Grimmsnarl. You're worse than Butterfree. Alright, GMAX Alcremie. I can see GMAX Alcremie doing some stuff. It can be pretty bulky and heal a lot. Get a couple of Calm Minds in there, as we've seen Reno try to do. It can just stick around for a while. Regular Alcremie is very powerful with Decorate. So, yeah. I mean, it can do some things. Like, you need a little bit of setup for it to start doing damage. But once it gets that setup, it can be pretty powerful. GMAX Caparaja. I think Caparaja is also a gym leader tier. What stinks about Sheer Force is that it gets overridden by the Dynamax. So you're not getting those boosts on the abilities, on the attacks. And then you're taking your Life Orb recoil. The Steel Bits is an interesting hazard for sure. Very cool. I wish we could see like more of that. Although I don't think they want to add any more like hazards that more Pokemon can get, because that would really clutter the field. Like you'd switch in and whatever Pokemon you're doing would be at like half health. But yeah, overall solid. Gets a lot of good coverage moves, and Trick Room I think it can be powerful. Duraludon's seen some play. Its GMAX move is rather weak. With that said, I think it's gym leader. Like, you don't need to PP stall people in competitive, especially not just over the course of 3 turns. No bueno. Alright, next we got the Urshifus. So we got Urshifu Rapid Strike. These were seeing some play when they first came out, but then I think people realized that you would just rather keep your Urshifu regular and not waste your GMAX on it, because it's like opportunity cost, right? Like, Urshifu is so good just in space form that you don't need to Gigantamax it to make it good. A lot of Pokemon that you end up Gigantamaxing, you're like trying to get those boosts on them, you're, you know, trying to get them like extra bulky and everything, and we see like Sash Urshifus and everything all the time. So I think Rapid Strike's Elite Trainer, and I think Single Strike is Champion. I think Single Strike is still overall better than that. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of the tier list. Do you think there are any more that could be like top tier? The masters of Gigantamaxing. Like, do you even think like Cinderace and Colossal are ranked too high? There's no discussion on Meowth. Don't even comment about Meowth. But yeah. And do you guys think we'll see any more Gigantamax forms? Like they just showed Melmetal, which has been rumored for a while anyway. But do you think we will get more Gigantamax forms in a future DLC or as free DLC like Snorlax and Toxicity were? Thanks again for watching, Socialites, and as always, stay classy.